Okay, so if you're like me, it's really easy to spend a lot of time doom scrolling and comparing yourself to other filmmakers who inspire you. And so the topic of today's video is how to find inspiration when you feel like quitting. Okay, so way number one is by watching your favorite filmmakers' early films. Like I said, it's easy to play the comparison game or to think that the clock has run out or that you should just give up or whatever. But one thing I do to find inspiration is I will go back and watch my favorite filmmakers' first films that they made. To me, I find it very inspiring to see the evolution of their work over the years. I actually just watched Duel by Steven Spielberg last night for the first time. It's his first TV movie that he directed at 24, and I find it really inspiring just to see where people start and to then get to go and watch some of their other films and just to kind of see the evolution of their style over the years. Seeing someone stick with their craft for so long and just them pursuing excellence within their craft is very inspiring to me. And so that's why going back and watching some of my favorite filmmakers' early films is a great way to stay inspired. Way number two is through street photography. So I actually started out shooting street photography when I was 14 years old, and it was just a very easy way for me to get out and shoot and to express myself creatively without having to get a group of friends together and a script and to put a lot of effort into making a true film. Anytime I feel uninspired, I like to go back out and shoot street photography just because it kind of helps reset me, refocus me, and it's also just a great way to continue training your eye. So way number three is by watching old movies and old TV shows. I think it's always helpful to go back and watch your favorite filmmakers' favorite filmmakers. I personally love old black and white TV shows and movies that were shot in the 50s. And so my wife and I have kind of been on a binge lately of just watching old black and white TV shows. Recently, we've been watching shows like Zorro, The Rifleman, Bewitched, The Twilight Zone, and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Way number four is through test shoots. I spoke briefly about this in a previous video, but I think going out and shooting test shoots between real shoots is one of my favorite ways to stay inspired. It just kind of allows you to go out, shoot, test cameras, test lenses, test filters, test different color grading methods, and it's always inspiring to just go out and create for the sake of creating without having a client attached. Way number five is through finding frames on FrameSet. So today's video sponsor is actually FrameSet, and when FrameSet reached out to me to test out their new site, which they just released this week, I couldn't say no. FrameSet is a great database of narrative and commercial projects that you can pull a lot of great references from as you're starting your next project. Typically when I start any new project, I will usually open up a Milanote board and just find a bunch of references. And so usually I will go on a platform like FrameSet to find those images. One of the things I really like about FrameSet's new site is that each frame is linked to the final Vimeo link. And so instead of having to go through looking for a link online on your own, you can just click the Vimeo button and it'll take you right to the page, and then you can link that video along with the reference image. I just want to say thank you to Dylan and the FrameSet team for sponsoring this video, and I would highly recommend you check them out. So way number six is through social media, obviously. I think, like I've said, you can play the comparison game on social media, or you can use it as a tool for community and inspiration. A lot of my friends and peers are on social media, and so just looking at what your friends, what your peers are making is a great way to find inspiration. Typically, if something really stands out to me, I'll either screenshot it or I'll put it in a saved folder on my Instagram. It's something that I've just kind of curated over the years. And so if I want to go back in and find a quick frame or a reference video for an upcoming project, I also like to start with my Instagram saved folder. Way number seven is a little unconventional, but it actually entails turning off your phone for 24 hours every week if you can. As much as I would like to be advancing in my career 24/7, I think after a while, if you're working 7 days a week, 24/7, always thinking about work, always comparing yourself, always trying to get better, it can kind of burn you out, honestly, and it can start to take a toll on you. Burnout is real, and so I try to take a 24-hour period every 7 days just to shut off my phone, to not reply to emails, to not go on Instagram, to not go on Vimeo, to not go on Milanote, FrameSet, any of these social media platforms, but just to kind of shut my brain off and to allow myself to just be present, to be bored, to exist. I think our generation is always plugged in, and often that leads to burnout, like I've said. And so if you're able to just unplug for a little bit every week, I think that's a great thing. I won't lie, I'm not perfect at this. I don't always do 24 hours, but if you can, I think like 12 hours or 6 hours or even 3 hours is a great start. And if you can't even do 3 hours, just take like a half an hour drive, reset your brain. It's really nice just to be unplugged just for a little bit. And lastly, way number 8 is by watching my old work. I know that sounds like super egotistical, but I usually am not watching my work because I'm fond of it. I'm watching it because I think it's cringy and I'm just thinking of all the ways that I would have shot it differently. So while a lot of my old work does make me cringe, I think there's value in going back and watching it because it does push me to keep growing, to keep going, and to keep moving forward in my career and in my craft. I personally started making films when I was 12. I saw the movie Super 8 in IMAX at City Walk, and I went home that night and we shot a zombie movie the next morning. I've just had this like obsession with filmmaking ever since I was 12, which was 13, 14 years ago at this point. And so while I don't have access to all of those old films, I did save some of them. And seeing just the growth over the last 13, 14 years is inspiring to me because it makes me think of looking back at my work 13 or 14 years from now when I'm like 40 years old, you know? I just think it's inspiring to know that all of my best work is in front of me and that it's not behind me. And so when I feel discouraged, I can look forward to the future knowing that I get to continue being a filmmaker for a living. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you on the next one.